college today. How much was it?
1.8 million. It was over budget.
I don't have to turn it. It worked. It's there.
No degree in common.
But I tell you, we took a selfie every meeting.
At 7:49, I will reconvene the 4 p.m. budget workshop. Mr. Miller, the floor is yours.
Right. Thank you, President. Now let's say that. I'm going to pick up where we left off with special duty assignments, but I want to make a change. Campus technology facilitator, after further consultation, we need to keep that stipend. On your chart, you'll show delete. We need to keep that because our librarians are still doing the inventory. So we're adjusting that number from 70 down to 32. So
It's on this one here?
it's on the slides, sorry. The actual slides.
Trying to sync here. I'm seeing it on this spreadsheet here, but I haven't seen it on the
It's,
slide.
It'll be the next to last page probably on the,
go down one more.
I know it's not.
Talking about the special education?
the campus technology facilitator under special duty assignments, campus technology facilitator. Like I said, our librarians are still doing the inventory, so we'll reduce that from 70 down to 32. And those next 5 items, the sports commentator, the sports producer, are changing from a per game to a $3,500 a year. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. Deleting sports video producer and sports video anchor, and changing sports social media to sports sponsor relations for a $3,000 a year stipend. So in this year, 22-23, all that cost the district $21,375 for 5 employees. Starting next year, we'll only use 4 employees at a cost of $12,500, saving the district $8,875.
What is this sports sponsor relations?
Okay, may I have Mark May come up, please?
Good evening. At each of our football games each fall, we have someone who connects with the sponsors who either sponsor something on our scoreboard or maybe they're an in-game sponsor. In this case, for the last several years, we've had a halftime kick from Performance Therapeutics where they would sponsor a teacher's opportunity to kick the ball about 12 yards if they can hit it through the uprights. Right at the start of halftime, they can earn $100. And so we have a person who's kind of a liaison on the field for that, and for any other times that we have sponsors who attend games, like maybe for auto dealership might bring a vehicle out for people to look at and things like that.
The cancer awareness stuff and all of that too.
Yes, and the Go Gold campaign, when they have those presentations on the field.
Directly related to scoreboard sponsors?
Not always, but
always.
yes, directly related to all of our sponsors, either scoreboard sponsors or they could be in-game sponsors, like.
Because we claim not 1 penny of our taxpayer money goes to that scoreboard, right?
That's correct. The scoreboard was paid for without using any tax dollars.
But this is related to advertising on that scoreboard?
Yes. It's created a new revenue stream
Okay.
now
so
that the
then-
scoreboard is paid for.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yes, you're welcome.
How did you get from the 3,000, like 125 per game, but then the stipend per semester is 3,000?
Per year.
Oh, per year, sorry.
There you go.
Sorry.
You're saying, yeah.
Sorry.
I do all the time, Lizzie. They come and actually move
But
mine.
you just stated earlier that the headline shouldn't be semester, it should be year, right?
It's per year, yes. So I've
The
changed it.
heading needs to be corrected, all right.
Got it.
Yes.
But you still have your question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So I'm wondering how
you got from 125 per game to 3,000 for a year stipend?
Well, it was actually being paid out at $225 per game, which is, yes, over that. And times 15 games, we have 15 home games. And that the 3,000 now brings it down below that
I
number.
see.
So it's less than what was spent prior year?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, they said they were saving 9,000 overall. I think this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's an overall savings of $8,875 by going from 5 people to 4 and putting these caps on these events.
And I think one of them is, the stipend is 3,500 versus 3,000. And that's because that person announces additional games in addition to football, volleyball, for instance, boys and girls basketball, boys and girls soccer.
Okay.
And it's you, it's Celso, it's Mario.
For football? For football, it's a crew of, you have actually 2 crews, because one crew is running the scoreboard operations for the in-arena audience, and then you have another crew that's creating the webcast that goes out on the live stream. And Celso, yes, is part of that as the PA announcer. But he's paid through athletics, not through us.
I shouldn't have even asked, but thanks.
Oh, certainly. Is everything?
Any other questions? Thank you,
Don't
Mark.
go too far, Mark.
Okay.
Okay, I do have one more question. So, on the same note, the crew that runs the scoreboard is paid through the revenue that the scoreboard provides?
That, I'm not exactly sure where that revenue goes.
No, so when the scoreboard was originally financed, and this was, I don't know how many years ago, the idea was that we would not use any local monies to pay off the purchase of the scoreboard. So that all sponsorships were used, and that has been paid off the last fiscal year. So this is not to pay for the scoreboard. This is for the staff that's currently there managing the games. But, for example, the sports sponsor is any sponsor, not just scoreboard related, just to be part of the experience.
Right. But the scoreboard provides revenue, right?
Correct.
They're
So now-
sponsors, so that revenue is used for,
No, so right now, that revenue is going into its own fund. So what we created an advertising fund, so to make sure we kept it separate, all revenue received from sponsorships of the scoreboard was used to pay it off. And then once that has passed, we still keep those advertising separate. Now, the idea is that we will collect, like we collect indirect costs from any other special populations, we will get 45% for local sponsorship. And the rest is used for maintenance of the scoreboards,
Right.
so that we don't have to go into our local. It could be used for needs as far as the stadium alone. So we're trying very hard to keep it separate.
right. But like, that's what I'm saying, like, these are obviously stipends to
Well,
run the scoreboard or?
Not to run the scoreboard, but to run the game. However, we do collect indirect costs, which then is using our local to pay for them, but we are collecting an indirect cost from them now.
I think Trustee De La Garza Lopez is, I understand what you're saying, is the money that we're generating from the scoreboard, is that being used to pay those stipends? The stipends are coming from local $199 that are allotted to community information.
Correct.
So that's not from the money that's generated by the scoreboard. It's from monies that are allotted to that department.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Oh, yes, you're welcome.
Okay, moving on to the special education program, what you're going to see is there are just some numbers from, like, for example, special education teacher self-contained going from 37 to 39. So these are just based on student needs. So all those special education programs are just going from a certain number to another number. Down below there, special education program certification supplement. Lead speech pathologist going from 2 to 1. Speech pathologist with a master's going from 16 to 17. And the last page on stipends is,
Before we,
I'm sorry.
if we could, just going back to the special education department. Those funds for that department are separate funds from the state. So there's specifically targeted for providing the resources and the support for those individuals hired there. And so they are then given a salary based on the local standard, based on years of service, correct? Whether they're in this department or any other. So, but again, within that revenue stream of that department, can we visit a change as to, or let me rephrase. How long have these stipends been in the, and again, it says per semester, but again, here it's per year, right?
Only
In the
the,
header?
I'm sorry, only the special duty assignments is per year, sir.
Only special duties. These are per semester then, in this column.
This is per semester.
Okay, then I'm all right.
Okay.
I thought it was per year, I just did not think it was. All right, so that center column is semester, the far right column was year. All right, thank you.
I have a question. So, there's already 37 existing positions, but then we'll have 39 for next, so we'll have 2 more positions. Okay. Stipends. But then are we also opening 2 new positions? We're also hiring, is that how
Somebody's
that
getting
works?
an extra stipend, or?
So that as we identify additional special education students, we have to provide them the resources. So these are positions. So we're going from 37 to 39 because of the need in that program,
Oh, okay.
just to make sure that everybody is getting.
So just to remind everybody, these are not all the stipends in the district. We have many, many multiple stipends, and Mr. Miller did give you all the sheets on that. These are the only things that we're looking at are things that have changed from last year. But in the comprehensive annual book, I think that's it's like a 400-page document online. At the end of it for staffing guidelines, that's what he printed out here for us, that was approved last year, June 22nd. That's what we'll be approving in June at the public meeting, is those last pages of the board book. So there are many more stipends in each department. The only ones that we're looking at right now are anything that's changed. So just to make everybody aware.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller?
Sure. Moving on, the last page of stipends is UIL sponsorship for middle school, and we're adding social studies stipend, 6 positions for $700 per semester, and Spanish oral reading, again, new stipend for 6 positions for $700. One below, that's extracurricular activities. High school tech wars competition club, going from 28 to 32. And elementary little esports from 18 positions, going from $500 to $1,000.
On this, I'm sorry, on the lead speech pathologist, you have 2 listed, 2 positions, $2,500 this semester, and it says proposed 2023 number of positions 1, and then on the far right, proposed 2023 stipend per year 1. So it's $2,500 per semester for one individual, and for another individual, it's going to be $2,500 for the whole year?
We're going, no, it's going from 2 people?
Sorry. Said the
Yeah,
wrong-
there just shouldn't be a 1 in that column that we have in the printout version. And the
You go from
furthest
2 to
right
1.
column, there should not be a number 1.
Okay,
Yeah. It's going from 2 to 1.
got it. That makes sense, because otherwise it didn't,
But then the speech pathologist is going from 16 to 17.
yeah.
You guys are clear, but Todd's confused.
It's, we're good.
We're good.
We're good, okay.
Go on.
Just
Yeah.
ride with it, Todd, they're good.
Yeah,
Yes.
extracurricular activities, we're on elementary little
I'm looking
esports.
right here, and
Yes.
it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. We're on extracurricular activities,
Trustee Craig.
elementary little esports.
Yes, ma'am.
You're adding 18 positions? Or
Right.
Not
It's
positions.
going, no, we have 18 positions,
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. We have 18 at 500. You're keeping the 18, and they're going to get 1,000.
$1,000.
Going from 500 to 1,000,
Okay,
because the students are increasing.
okay.
Switching gears to staffing guideline recommended adjustments.
Before you step out, Sandra, I do want to thank you for all your hard work in the area of UIL and chess and everything that you do. So we appreciate you for taking us from being non-existent in UIL at the elementary to rocking and rolling, especially in chess and everything else. So thank you, Sandra. Appreciate you. Yeah. Oh, they're coming in hot, man. The board's going to be proud, right?
The staffing guidelines for high school, the counselor gear up, we're going from 2 at Rowe High School, we're moving it to Mac High. The head theater arts is one teacher per 25 students in 6th period. We're making it one per campus.
That was Shrine.
We're adding a theater arts assistant, 2 per campus. That's the current practice. We're aligning our staffing guidelines to current practice. And the next 2 instructional assistants, computer lab, 2 per campus. We're taking it to 1 per campus. One stays and one's going to go down to the instructional assistant technology support. So we still end up with 2 people just splitting duties. Food service assistant manager going from 190 days to 221 days, current practice. Again, aligning our current practice with aligning our staffing guidelines with the current practice. And right below that for the high school is food service worker, going from 190 days to 187 days, which is our current practice. Moving down to middle school, we're removing the Gear Up counselor because kids have moved on to Mac High. Language literacy interventionist, 2 per campus, we're removing that. Literacy campus, beg pardon, classroom size reduction. Situation dependent, 1 per 18 students, and it's situation dependent, 1 per 22 students. Instructional assistants, computer lab, 1 per campus, we're removing that. Again, we're repurposing that down below. Instructional assistant, instructional support, technology support, excuse me. We're at 1 per campus. And food service manager, changing days from 190 to 221. And assistant manager, 190 to 221, which is our current practice.
These language literacy interventionists?
Yeah, why removing that?
I'm sorry?
Why are we removing that? The language literacy interventionist, 2 per campus?
Jen? No, I'm sorry.
Those 2 positions were repurposed at the beginning of the year to a different position. So it wasn't necessarily removed, it was just changed to a different teaching position, different title.
So now what's the title?
The title that they moved to was I need to refresh my memory. It's still working with the English students, I believe, and still helping them with the reading. I can't think of the exact title right now.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up.
As long as they're still in the schools.
Yes, they're still in
working.
the schools. It was just repurposed to something that they felt was going to be more productive for the students than those positions.
Okay.
We'll make sure and get the official title and get it to our board ASAP.
Moving on to elementary, proposed staffing guidelines. Teacher pre-K classroom size reduction, we're removing that. Instructional assistant PE, changing from 501 to 700 for 2 paraprofessionals, raising up to 900 for 2 paraprofessionals. Instructional assistant PE, 701 to 900, removing that one. Instructional assistant PE, 901 equals 2, 901 plus equals 2 paraprofessionals. 901 now is going to equal 3 paraprofessionals. So we're just changing the top one and the bottom one to match to 500 to 700 and then 901. Food service manager is changing days, 190 to 187 current practice. Food service assistant manager, 190 to 187 current practice, and food service worker, 190 to 187 current practice. Any questions on staffing guidelines?
Just real quick, just since I don't remember seeing, and maybe it's not on this list because of final decision, it's my understanding hasn't been made on the mariachi at the middle school. The individual, or was that individual actually coming from the high school down to the middle school during this period of?
Or was this pilot program, so it wasn't?
The vision, as we were considering the middle school mariachi program, was not 6 mariachi teachers, but 3. And those 3 would divide, they would take 2 middle schools apiece and kind of divide and conquer that way. So it was 3 additional FTEs.
But for right now, I'm sorry, Dr. Rubin, for right now, there was one individual, is my understanding, at Fossum as you were going through this.
I got you, for the stipend for the club?
Yeah, and
Oh,
we're
yeah.
trying to see, is it reflected here, that position or not?
Actually, no, it was the high school teachers who lost a section. They were willing to go to the middle school to teach the armonía, which is the guitar of golpe, the vihuela, the guitars, and the harp instruments.
So you're saying that the high school teachers had an empty section?
Yes,
and
sir.
they filled that section? It wasn't
Yes, sir.
additional work?
No, it was not additional work. It was an empty section where they had travel time to go to the middle school, and then they would return back to the high school.
So the concept you just explained we never got there.
No.
Because you were utilizing an individual from high school.
Correct.
So as we're looking through this document, that's not reflected anywhere? in
No,
it
sir.
Because there was no impact?
No,
Right.
sir, and there was no money needed for it because it was a section that was just lost from the high school.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank
on
you.
the new position, Conjunto Tejano program, that's something different?
That's something different. That's a conjunto section, and it would be one for the district, opening up an opportunity for children to learn conjunto. We're opening up to any professional who has the knowledge of.
Already in our district.
Already in our district.
We
So it would
already
only be
have them
$5,000
boys.
once.
Perfect.
Okay,
Okay? Thank you.
Blah, 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 blah.
go ahead, Mr. Miller.
Okay, moving on to substitute teacher pay. This is a little confusing, so follow me from left to right, if you would. Board approved back in 21-22 school year, and I'll just stick with degreed and certified, but you can see the other ones below there. In 21-22 school year, we was paying degreed and certified $110. Along comes COVID for that, and board approved October 12th, excuse me, to bump that to 125 and 180. About a month later, November 15th, we regrouped and we come back and we raised it to 140, 115, and 80. And the rates were until the end of the 22-23 school year. You'll see the note, see December 13th, 2021 for exception. That's the next column to the right. December 13th, we regrouped and we raised the degreed and certified to 180, 115, and 80. The rate for the second semester, 21-22 only, and per the board covered back then reverts back to the November 15th, 2021 rates, which is one to the left. 23-24, we go back to the 125, 180. Per December 13th board approval rates for 23-24 school year revert back to October 12th rates, unless otherwise amended by board action, so.
Well, I'm kind of concerned because, well, let me phrase it this way. Where are the other districts? Because we were kind of behind the curve. Other districts during the pandemic or post-pandemic, they raised theirs. We kind of waited, had a couple, and we finally made a decision. We moved it up, as you reflected here on December 13, 2021, which is a couple of months after others did, frankly. So now we're reverting back to October 12th of 2021. So where are we in order to attract and retain high quality caliber? I'll stop there because you're ready to answer.
Yeah, sorry. One more slide, sir. There you go. Current substitute pay rates, so I kept the names off. McAllen's highlighted in yellow, so we're at 140, currently 140, 180 if you look backwards, but our local districts, there's people out there paying 185, degree certified to 180, 180, 175, and 150 above us. Frankly, I don't know what they'll do when ESSER runs out, because they're probably, don't know for sure, if they're using ESSER to subsidize these higher rates, because we all went up about the same time. Yes, ma'am.
So, the 180, that was bumped up because of ESSER funding? Oh,
I have to assume that for us, yes, for us.
That's what we-
yes.
for most,
More than likely.
Probably
because
for most.
everyone did the same pattern.
Yes.
Well, and it was, we were having a hard time with teachers, keeping teachers,
Everybody
people
was
out
sick.
sick,
Oh, okay.
you know, so we had to
So you
compete, or else we were gonna
Okay,
be
because I was curious about that's like a really big drop from 180 to 125, but that
We were
explains it.
trying to get qualified substitutes,
Mhm.
because they were substituting for long periods of time sometimes.
Mhm.
So we're recommending, I turned the page, 140, so my question still remains.
No, we recommend
No,
125.
125, go back to October.
You have to go back to 125 for next school
That's-
year unless otherwise amended by board action.
Yeah, once again, I know we're in a tough time, I get it, I mean, we're trying to find every which way to bridge, but I don't think this is a area to do that at this time. I would suggest we stay, at least for the remaining 23, 24, at the 180 on that degreed certified,
Mr. Miller,
as we continue to decompress, I'm sorry.
No, are we short? Are we having trouble finding
Yes.
subs?
That's why I just asked them, Sam, because it changed a little bit. We're currently at 95% fill rate, which is very good. I'd probably put ours up against Region 1 Sub-Hub. We usually beat them anyways. Fridays is always a challenge because people training or take off on Friday or something like that, but 95% fill rate.
But again, we're still at the 180 right now, right?
Today, 140.
We're at the 40 right now.
And cost-wise?
Cost as far as what ESSER was picking up, that would have to transfer over to local. Just on the ESSER portion itself, we're looking at $366,405. Just the ESSER portion, that we would have to revert back to local if we were to.
If we go to 180.
If we were to keep the 140.
Oh.
Oh, just to keep the 140.
Correct, because ESSER was picking up $15 of that.
And to get to the 180, we're just double.
We would have to double it and then some, so we're looking at about $800,000.
And at 140, are we competitive with the surrounding districts?
This is the surrounding districts today as we speak.
Oh, today, okay.
But again, I don't know what the local districts, if they're floating it with ESSER money or not. So when ESSER goes away, I think you'll see these rates come down, but I don't know that for sure.
We also do our budget a different time of year, so you will not see it, other districts, until we come back in like October when they do their, so this is always a hard time, because you hate to be the first one, but then you realize come October, everybody did it because they all were using ESSER money and they don't have ESSER money anymore. So it's always a.
We always left behind like that because of when we passed.
I mean, I know we're saying that we have a 95% fill rate, but I mean, as a parent of kids in the district, I hear of teachers having to cover other classrooms because there aren't enough subs. And so that's, and in speaking to subs, I hear, well, you know, I can go to PSJA, you know, or anywhere else. And so it is concerning. It's just the 125 is for a degreed certified. It's hard. Yeah. And it's a lot of pressure on the teachers that do show up.
Anyways, we're not deciding anything, let's look at it and we continue to look forward, but I think we ought to seriously look at this carefully.
Yes, sir.
Can I suggest that you look at just the certified portion? I'm okay with the going back to the degreed and the non-degreed, but the degreed certified, it's hard to find. I see what you're saying there. Maybe give us scenarios budget-wise, what the impact is at the 140 and the 180 and the 125, because we have to pay for it either way. So maybe give us that, what fund it would come out of. And I know how it is. If we're going to pay for something, then we're now, you know, what are we not paying for now? Because that money's not just going to fall into our lap. We're going to have to go without in some other area. So you might also let us know, well, if we're going to use $800,000 here, we're no longer going to use it, you know, for a bilingual coordinator or whatever it is. Let us know where you're getting the money from, because that also has, you know, things to think about.
Yes, ma'am.
How many do we have, and if so, how many long-term substitutes?
You have an idea, Stan, I'm sorry.
Currently on the rolls, we have actually over 600 subs in the system.
Subs.
So, yes.
But
Now,
like long-term, like do we have any positions, like so-and-so has moved, so we're gonna have a permanent sub in that?
we have some vacancies that have subs in them that have been in there for months, yes. As far as the exact number, I can't give you the exact number right now, I'd have to look that up. But there are a number of positions like that, yes.
But our long-term rate is still the same as the daily rate?
Correct, we do not have a long-term rate.
And actually, maybe that's a good way of looking at it, is if you have someone there on maternity leave, you know they're going to be there a long time, you want to have a degreed certified teacher, maybe change that amount. And maybe that's another option to maybe, you
Yeah,
know,
that's something we've had in the past, where if you're subbing more than, say, 10, 15 days in the same position,
consecutively, yeah.
then they get that extra amount. Because when someone is out on FMLA, we do look for degreed certified, because we don't want to have them more than 30 days without a non-certified teacher, because then we have to send the letter home and do all that. So
Yeah.
we're looking for that certified teacher.
And if you pay the right amount for that person, they're going to stay
They're
in
gonna
that same
stay.
class while the teacher's out on.
And they're qualified.
Yeah, so maybe that's another option to present to the board. But also, please let us know where you're getting the money from and what are we going to go without.
And if I can, real quick, I did look up that teacher that we switched the language literacy interventionist to. It's the ELA classroom size reduction teachers, and that was only at the middle school. The elementary still have them. This was only the middle school change.
Elementary still has the
They
language
still have the language
literacy.
literacy
Okay.
interventionists, yes.
And
'cause
the
I think
middle
that's where
school
some
is
of the confusion
now,
was.
say it again, what's it
The
called?
middle school is, it's an English language arts classroom size reduction. So,
So overflowed,
no, it actually, what it helps do is reduce the number of students in all of the ELA classrooms. So those students actually will have those teachers will have the at-risk students. And so they'll go up to a maximum of 22 students. And that helps take some of those students away from the other ELA classrooms, so that those classes are a little bit smaller. And then they can address that a little bit more. So we actually created 2 new ELA CSR positions with each of those.
So when you look at domain 3 with regard to accountability, you'll see our district is at 100%, and that's an outlier for sure across the state, but it's systems like this that allow all students to grow, because that's what that domain's looking for. So it's programs like this particular class is gold for us, classroom size reduction.
Yeah, that's important.
So 20,
Correct if I'm wrong, but in middle school, we have 2 periods of math and 2 periods of English?
Yes.
So they're not there just for 1 hour in middle school, they're there for 2 hours. And it hits our budget in a big way to do that, but we
But
believe in
it
that.
targets at-risk students, right?
But in
Right.
English, only 6
Okay.
and 7,
Right.
not in 8th. Math has 6, 7,
Seventh and eighth,
but
and English
reading
is-
6 and 7.
Yeah, so you have 2 hours a day of English in 6th grade and 2 hours in.
So teachers will have double the time and half the students. So instead of teaching 6 sections, they'll teach 3 sections at 90-minute blocks and have 75 kids instead of 150.
So they're responsible for English, math.
All they're going to teach, like let's say a 6th grade math teacher is going to have 90 minutes to teach math and teach 75 students, as opposed to 6 sections teaching 150 students, right? So it's an inefficiency that we work into the system on purpose, but it is expensive. And our teachers also have 2 planning periods. So one they use for content and then one they use for personal planning. That's expensive too.
Got it.
But it's part of the secret to our success.
Don't
Secret
tell
sauce.
everybody.
Oh, we've shared the game plan.
I think he's been sharing it with everyone.
Anybody that'll listen.
Yeah. But Stan, before you go, going back to trustee Lopez, can you determine how many instances in which a teacher is out for which a substitute was not placed in that space?
Yes,
If you
yes.
could get that, because that would very quickly tell us that what the carrying of the remaining staff is to cover that. You
Yes,
see what I'm saying? So
Yes,
that-
yeah.
If you could share with that, it would
Sure.
help us.
Yep.
Thank you.
not a problem.
That's all I have, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I believe that's it for the presentations on the workshop. Does anybody else have any more questions or anything that they would like the administration to present more in our June 5th workshop? Is there anything that you're like, you know what, I need a lot more information on? And if you think about something, email the superintendent, he'll let his staff know, and they'll, give you all the information you need.
so I know in, prior board meetings, there was some really great charts. I'm assuming they come from Region 1, or I know they come from Region 1, about teacher to student ratio, certain other stuff like these that go with enrollment. I'd like to see one of the graphs that relates to central staffing versus enrollment.
Okay.
All right?
And I just want to make a comment. I don't know where we are. I know we're still formulating anything that I really like to see, for lack of a better term, the holiday pay and working that in. So I want to put that into the equation as early as possible and
Well-
equal to what it has been in the last 2 years.
A scenario.
So a holiday pay at the magnitude of 1.5 is almost $5 million, and that would be a one-time fund balance transaction reduction. That would put our recommended 75 days from the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas to go below if we do that, but we could show you.
So maybe just a sheet that shows that scenario and shows the implication to,
Will do.
the unintended consequences of all that, so to speak.
Yeah, just on that real quick, I love that. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I refer to it as a triple crown, and we demonstrate to our community, but we also got to make sure our people are taken care of. And so, and I know I may be the only one, that's okay, and if it doesn't work, I understand. But,
One thing is the term holiday pay, because a lot of our special populations can't pay for a holiday pay, and so we would have a retention stipend.
Go back to retention.
Correct.
I'm using a term that when we go to our training, they refer, these are the
Yes.
only circumstances in which you are allowed to do a one-time, and the training we got is that term. So,
Well,
retention is?
we'd have to look, I believe I'm getting whispers back here, I think it has to be a different kind of raise.
Okay, whatever the term may
Yes,
be,
and.
that makes it,
Yeah.
Is this like a bonus? Is it a bonus?
But you can't call it a bonus.
You can't call it a
One-time
bonus.
payment.
No, we can't.
So it doesn't hit your salary, so it's not reoccurring, so every year you don't have to come up with it, because it's literally millions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's another scenario to look at of, okay, we can't afford it to sustain it, but we can afford it this one time.
Is it all employees or just?
It
Yeah.
depends on how they present it.
Yes, it depends on how it's presented. One of the slides that was included, I don't know if you
Usually
want
it's
to.
Yeah, no.
no, it was just,
Yeah.
they're not, just,
Yeah.
they're not ready, and,
Yeah.
you know, it's not for our discussion today.
Yeah, I think in Budget Workshop 3 of HR, they presented a slide that has all the
Okay.
raises back, you know, and it has in there the different stipends that they, or retention or whatever.
It's in this one as
It's
well
in this one
too,
as
and it shows actual costs. I think the last schedule included the raise amounts, but this includes the cost.
Right.
So if we look similar to last year, we're looking at about $5 million for $1,500 stipend.
5 million?
I'd like to know how many,
One time.
how many people are working, how many people are hired onto the UTRG? How many people are hired onto the UTRGV project right now, to the
The Collegiate Academy.
Collegiate Academy? Just the principal right now? So we still have a year to hire all of that staff.
It's a matter of,
Well, right now, we're planning that it will be some of the teachers that are currently in the comprehensive schools, the high
So
school.
then we still have to replace them.
Well, no,
Not
that's
if the students are going over
they
there.
almost go with them if.
Unless we increase in enrollment, then yes, district-wide in the
Feel
high
like
school.
So
we can staff it,
repurposing
along with
of-
college professors that teach upper level courses.
Oh, that's fine. I'll ask more questions about that later, because, I mean, that's gonna be, it's another school that we've got to staff overhead and all. FTCs, I mean FTEs and everything that comes with that, so.
But
That's a
we-
year away.
Yeah, and
So
we
we're looking-
reduce, if we need the FTEs, right? FTEs? Oh, we are not. using-
Full-time
Full-time
equivalents.
equivalents, I'm sorry,
That's what I was
FTEs,
looking at.
yeah.
To help me with that. Then we decrease the ones at the comprehensive school, because the students will not be sitting at a comprehensive school, they will be sitting at the collegiate school.
We'll give you a full report on that.
Yeah, I'd like, just, it's a whole nother school.
But there is a validity as to what trustee,
We have a
Thank
year
you.
for that, a
Yeah.
year to plan for that budget, and that's a whole nother.
So the point is, we need money in our savings account to pay for all that.
Yeah. We're gonna try our best to draw kids from outside the district, so it's not just trading kids from our comprehensives over there. So hopefully we can pull some new students.
well, frankly, the issue that's really impacted us the most this year, and probably if we don't, you know, get back to pre-COVID, is the ADA. Because it does, you know, the legislature's not gonna help us. It looked like on the special population it was, but it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. So we're back to ADA, and we're not doing well on the ADA in most, that's why we're down $4 million. Right? That's why I took away.
Yep. That's what Lisa's division working every day.
She's doing a great job, it's just, you know.
yes.
we
Oh,
gotta
without her,
remind
it'd be
families
worse.
to get her kids
Exactly.
to
Yeah,
school.
without that division, it would be a lot worse. And we can show those numbers too, what she's done.
Well, thank you, board,
All right.
for allowing us to combine a workshop and a board meeting on the same day. I really appreciate you, so that you have your Wednesday free now. Thank you so much to the staff. This was a great first meeting. Congratulations, everyone, for winning your election. Yeah, yes, nice. So, may I have a motion to adjourn this workshop?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Saldivar. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Workshop is adjourned at 8:27 PM.
And I'll